He makes attempts to rise up, and at the third time he stands. The smile on his face hasn't always been. It is the fruit of reconciliation. His walking style depicts his disability, a condition he wasn't born with, a product of injuries he sustained from his assailants. In April 1994, John Giraneza was 20 years old, part of a big family of 35 siblings. His father had 10 wives. All of them but him were wiped out in a span of 2 weeks, starting the 11th of April 1994.
They start to kill those who are still young because they don't have where they can hide. So they killed all the young ones in his family. So after he hid, and then they find him in the bush where they start to try to kill her with machete. They get her a machete in the head.
His attackers hit him all over with blunt objects and sticks reinforced with sharp nails. His legs and hands covered in blood. He was left to die in the bush.
RPF soldiers find him in the bush and bring him to the hospital.
He was in a coma for 4.5 months. When he came to, he spent 6 years in hospital nursing the wounds. A time he spent hallucinating over what had befallen him and the family. Too traumatized, he saw no reason to return home, a home of death.
His dad was having many plots and many things, so he thinks that all those acid was given to the perpetrators. So he decided to don't come back from his village and go to the street.
He spent 8 years on the streets of Kigali, begging and eating from trash bins. Every time well-wishers attempted to rescue him from the streets, he slipped back.
The prison fellowship, the NGO that teach them about the forgiveness, they construct them 30 houses. Those houses were lived by the perpetrators and the victim also.
But the gift of a house was not enough to take away the painful memories. He feared of repeat attacks and kept a weapon with him every time he was in the house.
He decided to say that no Hutu will come to approach his house. That's why he thinks that he is going to buy a machete and put it on his bed and think that if any Hutu comes here, I will beat with him.
He was bitter and lonely, but from consistent training by a local NGO, John resolved to forgive.
When pastor still teaching, John's heart was beating, and he hears some voice telling him to forgive. And when pastor is finishing to pray, Johnny find himself saying that I forgive them.
Those forgiven include his wife's father. When the genocide began, Owimana Mary Jane was 12 years old. She acknowledges that indeed her family took part in John's predicament.
She used to hear and to see his dad carrying the machete and that stick with nails and say that he's going to kill Tutsis, saying that they are going to kill Inyenzi. Inyenzi is the name given to the Tutsi in that time.
Forgiveness changed John's heart and proposed to his assailant's daughter for marriage.
Before that, he didn't see if in Rwanda there are beautiful girls that he can marry. He decided to ask the family if she can marry John, and also the family didn't tell her anything. Then on her own choice, he decided to come and marry with John, even though there was that issue in the family.
The decision to marry was critical to John's transformation.
So after the Rwanda program, I found that we are Rwandans. There's no Hutu, no Tutsi. When I think about my family, he think of working hard like his father was did.
Kugira ngo byibura nanjye mbashe kugera kubyo papa yaragezeho.
The two now have 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls between the ages of 3 and 10. While the scars of the 1994 massacre still hurt, they have learned to belong, burying nothing behind, teaching their children what must never happen again. For all perpetrator families that confessed before Gacaca courts, a local mechanism in pursuit of truth and justice, they were required to pay reparations for their sins. Mary Jane telling me how his husband settled the penalty for her family, further cementing their union. And today they share in the cup of reconciliation, their dreams and aspirations shared in their 4 children, who can now play the games their parents never enjoyed. And though he may not play with them given his condition, he is at peace. For 14 years, John spent his life imprisoned. For 6 years, he was nursing serious injuries in hospital. But for the 8 years that followed, he was nursing the more traumatic and serious injuries of the soul. But the moment he chose to forgive and even get married to his wife, Jane Marie, he has lived a better life than he ever thought he would. Perhaps the best example of the reconciliation that has taken place in this country 25 years since that dark part of their history. Sam Gituku, Citizen TV, Rueru, Bugesera district of Rwanda.